Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome to the Wrestling Legion prediction show for Forbidden Door 2023. I am excited about this one because I'm a New Japan mark. I'm Nick the Geek, and I'm joined today by my partner in crime, as always, Wrestling With Your Thoughts, Si. Si, how the hell are you doing?
I'm amazing, mate. It's been an amazing week. We've had some good wrestling. There's more good wrestling to come this weekend. It's like AEW and New Japan's combined WrestleMania in a way.
Yes.
It's mouth-watering.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. Right, well, we're not going to take too much of your time, folks, because we've got a lot of matches to get through, because thank God last night they increased the number of matches confirmed from 4 to 11.
Well, let's keep it at 11. We don't need 14 or 15. Yeah.
No more. We still have Rampage and Collision, so there's still a good chance we're going to get a couple more matches added. But we're going with the 11 that we have now. So let's just get straight into it. I'm going to start at the bottom of the card, and we're going to move our way up. Right. So, first of all, added to the thing last night after Dynamite. Adam Cole versus Filthy Tom Lawler. Now, I don't know if I'm assuming most of our viewers are familiar with Filthy Tom. He is a remarkable wrestler. Has the most hilarious gimmick of wearing 2 pairs of Daisy Duke shorts to the ring and then taking one of them off before he starts. He is tough as hell. And I think he's going to be an impeccable challenge for Adam Cole. Si, how do you see this one going? Do you think this is going to be a classic Adam Cole match? Or do you think Tom Lawler is going to build this?
It's an interesting match on paper. It's not a match I would have booked personally, but I think it could be quite good. Cole, I think, is, a bigger star in terms of exposure.
Agreed.
But like yourself, I've been watching Tom Lawler since he was MLW champion. The guy's great. He's legit. He's got that legitimate feel about him. It's going to be a good bout. It's going to be exciting.
It is indeed. And just before we crack on, hello, Courtney.
Hey, Courtney.
And afternoon, David. Good to see you again. How are you doing? Right. So, straight into the prediction side. Who do you think it's going to be? Adam or Tom?
Seeing as Adam Cole is in a feud with MJF, building up to a world title shot.
And a tag team title tournament.
And the tag team title tournament, which is going to be interesting. It's got to be Cole unless there's a screw finish. And I don't see there being that many screw finishes on this pay-per-view.
No.
Yeah. But I think Lawler's going to have a good showing, and it'll be good for him to get that exposure in the US.
I completely agree. But I also completely agree with your prediction, Adam Cole. Okay. He's too hot right now. He's over like Rover again. The fan reactions are getting bigger. Yeah. MJF, that match with MJF last week did the world of good for Adam Cole. And that was a really very rare. That was a pay-per-view quality match on television. Yeah. And I thought their promo battle this week was fantastic, especially when they both told Shivani to shut up. But
at the same time, that was great.
Yeah, we're moving on because otherwise we're going to get sidetracked and we're going to get off the subject. So, match two. Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's Championship, not the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. This surprises me. But at the same time, I think it means Willow's losing. Because if Willow was going to win, why wouldn't you put both titles on the line?
It's kind of classic New Japan booking, because I think fundamentally this is a New Japan show. Like you say, it kind of gives the finish away, the fact that only one of the titles is on the line. But Toni is, I don't know, kind of leaps and bounds experience-wise, exposure-wise above Willow. It's not a match again. In fact, the whole card isn't what I thought it would be. No. You go back, just to segue for a minute, you go back and we were expecting Danielson and Sabre. And then failing that, we were thinking maybe it'd be Sabre and Joe. Yeah. And there were so many matches thrown around that we've ended up not getting. But the card that we've got is still top to bottom.
It's
great. This is going to be good too.
Well, also, if you look at last year's Forbidden Door, it was a very similar similar setup with nobody got matches they were expecting last year.
No.
Yeah,
underwhelming on paper,
but great show.
Over-delivered.
Completely over-delivered. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for this Sunday. It's just going to be great. Right, but as far as my prediction for Tony and Willow goes, I'm going with Tony Storm. Everybody knows Tony is my favorite women's wrestler in the world. I think she's amazing. I've met her 3 times in real life. She's a wonderful human being. She's a tremendous person, and I wish her all the best. And I love Willow Nightingale, but I just don't see her beating Tony for that title because nobody's taking that belt off her till Jamie Hayter does it at Wembley.
At the risk of being boring, I totally agree. Let's move on to match 3.
Okay, match 3 is Satoshi Kojima taking on CM Punk in the first round of the Owen Hart tournament, which is now at Forbidden Door. Slightly, yet again, just to segue, this goes back to what you were saying before about not getting matches we were expecting. Yeah. Because everybody was expecting the final cumulative encounter for the first time between 2 men that basically hate each other in CM Punk and Kenta.
Yes.
But I think we all saw Kenta's tweet. He was not very impressed that someone had announced this match without checking it with him first, because he has no interest in wrestling CM Punk because he hates his guts and he wants nothing to do with him. So the fact that we're now getting who I refer to as Japanese Jeff Jarrett in Satoshi.
He is, isn't he? He absolutely is. Yeah.
He's Japan's Jeff Jarrett. Satoshi Kojima, the king of Bread Club, is going to have, I think, an absolute banger with Punk. What do you reckon?
I think they're going to match up really well. I think Punk coming back, he needs to kind of work up the little stepping stones to establish himself again. Get a string of wins against like quality upper mid card opponents. The bread against the ice cream bars. It's going to be great. I don't see it going more than 8-9 minutes. However, it's going to be another good match. It's kind of like a dream match. I've enjoyed Kojima for 15 years or more.
I've always been a big fan of Quad J, and just I love Punk. Everyone knows this. As far as I'm concerned, he did nothing wrong. He vented his opinion, and Tony Khan is the one at fault because Tony Khan is the one that should have turned around and gone, "Whoa, he's off."
And an opinion is never wrong, in my opinion.
No. It's an opinion.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, if 7 people have complained that Hangman Page is working too stiff, and it's not just CM Punk, it's 7 people have complained, then maybe there's something to it. But anyway, moving on. So who are you predicting for this match, sir? And I think we're in total agreement. CM Punk.
Come on, we've got to disagree on something. Maybe the next one.
I think this next match may change it up.
Okay. What have you got for me?
Added to the card last night was another match we weren't expecting. It's the 4-way for the AEW International title. Orange Cassidy defending against Daniel Garcia, the New Japan Television Champion Zack Sabre Jr., and quickly look at the phone, Katsuyori, who I always get his name wrong, Shibata, who is currently the Ring of Honor Pure Champion.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to go to you with this first, Si, because I have a very obvious opinion on who's going to win this match. How do you see this falling round?
It's kind of like you've got 2 singles feuds interlaced, and it goes to this 4-way, and I think maybe all 4 of these guys, they're a little bit out of their element. So, you've got Cassidy, maybe not quite so much. He's a little more character driven, but all the other 3 guys in the match are technicians. You don't often see 3 or 4 technicians in a fatal 4-way. So it's going to be hard to call. I mean, I thought Cassidy was going to lose a month or so ago. I thought he's long overdue to bounce that belt to somebody else. And I'm thinking the same now. I was wrong then, and I'll probably be wrong again now. If there was a new champion, there's a glaring omission in the match. There's one man who does not currently have a title belt, and that's Daniel Garcia.
I couldn't agree more, mate. Danny Garcia, the only thing that makes me think Danny Garcia may not win this match is he wants the Pure Championship. He wants Shibata. He's been going after him, doing his pose after matches for weeks now. So I think putting the international title on Daniel Garcia, whilst it seems the obvious choice, is not where they're going to go.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Is this elimination or is it first 4 wins?
First 4 wins.
In that case, it could be Garcia pinning Shibata.
I think Cassidy's retaining. Because I think they're going to... I think Shibata and Garcia will get very busy with themselves and be taken out of the match. It will come down to Orange versus Zack. Zack will absolutely maul him for a certain amount of time, as Zack Sabre Jr. tends to do. Yeah. And then Cassidy will get that one lucky punch and leave with the belt. That's just how I see. So you're picking Garcia.
To be controversial, for the first time tonight, I'm going different. And I'm going Garcia. Yeah, I think Cassidy's had a great reign. He's had a long reign. But it is time to kind of switch that up a little bit.
Okay. All right, well, we finally disagree.
It's fun,
finally disagree. Yeah. We got there.
Yeah.
We finally have a point to this prediction show, or one of us could be wrong. Okay, moving on to the next match, which has an awful lot of bodies. In fact, no, we'll come to that in a minute. Also added to the card last night, Lei Suzuki Guards versus what I am calling, because he called it that in the first place, Sting Squadron. So it is Chris Jericho, the great Minoru Suzuki, and Sammy Guevara, poor bugger, versus Sting, Darby Allin, and a partner of their choosing. Now, my personal thoughts for who their partner of choosing is, because Chris Jericho mentioned that they have been Darby mentioned that Chris Jericho has lots of enemies in New Japan. Well, if you think back to Chris's enemies in New Japan in recent times, 2 names come to mind: Kenny Omega and Tetsuya Naito. Now, Kenny's busy with Will. Naito's not on the card. So I'm really hoping we hear that music on Collision this Saturday, because Naito has the greatest entrance music in professional wrestling. It sounds like a 1980s video game. I love it. He is an absolute star. I'm just going to go on a rant about Tetsuya Naito for a second here. Tetsuya Naito is the most underutilized member of the New Japan roster, in my opinion. He's 40 now. He has evolved from the Stardust Prince to the leader of LIJ to the Los Ingobernables, to everything he has done. And he does most of it without talking. Do you know how hard it is to translate people to a Western audience without talking? Yet Naito has managed to become probably the most popular star in New Japan in the West without talking. He's done it purely with his facial expressions and his ability in the ring. And oh my God, please, Darby and Sting, pick Tetsuya Naito. Simon, who do you think it's going to be?
Like you say, it was referenced that it was somebody who Jericho's had a past with in New Japan. There really is only those 2 guys. I mean, thinking outside of New Japan, who else could you bring in? Lex Luger? No.
Yugi Nagata?
Nagata would work, yeah.
He's got a history with Sting.
He does, and I would have to check it, but he may have wrestled Jericho on a Thunder back in 97, 98. Not 100% on that. Nagata would work.
It was 30 years ago, so.
Well, nearly. But yeah, I think Naito is the best pick. It's a big name. There's some dream kind of standoff square offs in that kind of equation if he gets added. I'm going to go with you on that.
Yeah, Naito. So my prediction comes with a finish. Sting's getting the win over Jericho when he reverses a Lion Tamer / Walls of Jericho into a Scorpion Deathlock. Now, I know Sting was fully capable of doing this 10 years ago. Whether Sting can work his way out of a Lion Tamer into a Scorpion these days, not 100% sure, but I have faith in the man. All right, so that is the finish I'm going with. I'm picking Sting Squadron to win. right, via a Sting submission victory on Chris Jericho. Sai, who are you going with?
Based on the fact that it is New Japan booking, a couple of the earlier singles matches are guaranteed to be shorter. A couple of the 6-man, 8-man, 10-man tag team matches are pretty much guaranteed to be won by the faces. It's a formula that, although predictable, always works for them. So yeah, on that basis, it's about time that Jericho lost on pay-per-view. I like your finish as well. We're in agreement.
Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, moving on to the next match, which also got added to the card last night, which is from the first round of the Women's Owen Hart tournament. Ooh. I'm really excited for this one because it gives a very young, up-and-coming star a chance to really shine. It is Athena against Billie Starkz. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Billie Starkz, she's 18 years old. She has been a staple of Game Changer Wrestling now for 2 years. Since she was about 16, technically working illegally as a wrestler, but that is by the time. Billie is fantastic. I still don't know why she wears a giant, filthy mascot rabbit head to the ring. That confuses me slightly.
There's a story there somewhere.
There has to be. But Billie is a tremendous wrestler. Like, she's a great person. She's done a couple of interviews in the past. She's really nice to talk to. And she's so happy to be there. Unfortunately, she's wrestling Athena. And Athena's going to beat 7 Shades out of it.
Or is she?
Oh, go on.
Following Ring of Honor Weekly, Athena has been in like a tit-for-tat thing with Kiera Hogan.
Yes.
So 2 or 3 weeks in a row now, this has been going back and forth, and Kiera's been getting the beat down and then getting a little bit back. It's not finished. It's not finished at all. So I don't have an issue in the tournament, particularly with it being on the pre-show or the buy-in, with a little bit of interference. Could Kiera cost Athena the match?
Oh, I like that.
I've not actually looked at the bracket to see what the other match is in that bracket, because quite often you can kind of go face heel and work it out.
Well, you've got the only other match from the women's tournament side that I remember is Britt versus Ruby, which is a rematch from last year's.
I'm not sure.
That's a rematch from last year's Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
So
I kind of don't see a lot of upside to I don't see a lot of upside to Athena winning. From a lot of people's point of view, no disrespect to Billie Starkz, but on a national scale with the exposure, Athena winning doesn't really gain much.
No.
Billie doesn't gain much.
No.
The other way round, they both gain.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Billie on this one, dude.
So am I. I love Billie Starkz. I think she's amazing. She makes me smile. And that's what wrestling's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you smile. Billie Starkz makes me smile. On a different point, I think they should tag her up with Sky Blue. They're about the same. Sky's a bit older. Sky's 23, I think. 20, 21, 22, 23, something like that. Somewhere around there. So she's a bit older. She's got less experience than Billie Starkz, which is shocking to think when you consider Billie's age. But I think Billie Starkz and another signee from GCW are going to be pushed to the moon by Tony Khan, and that is Billie and Nick Wayne.
Nick Wayne.
They are both very, very young. They have got years ahead of their careers, and Tony got them while they were young. And I think he's going to want to do something with them, which is why I am also picking Billie going over Athena. Because I think Athena is going to get cocky, and that's going to cost her.
Okay.
I still think she's going to beat 7 Shades out of her during the match, but I think Billie's going to get the fluke win. Not fluke win, but the most deadly surprise roll-up something.
We might both be totally wrong, but from a booking perspective, it makes a lot more sense that way round. So, Billie.
Oh, it's Billie Starkz. Okay, now onto a match that I think is going to be the chaos part of the evening. And there are an awful lot of bodies in this one, people. Right, so we have a 5-on-5. We have the Blackpool Combat Club featuring John Moxley,
Claudio Castagnoli.
No one from Blackpool. Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Shota Umino, John Moxley's young boy from Japan, and Konosuke Takeshita, taking on the Elite and Co., which is going to be Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, Adam Hangman Page, Eddie Kingston, and Tomohiro Ishii, the Stone Pitbull himself. I think this is going to be amazing. I think this match is going to play out quite simply. Claudio and Eddie are going to spend the entire time beating the crap out of each other. Moxley's probably going to pair off with Hangman. Or... Actually, no. Moxley's probably going to pair off with Ishii.
How about Mox and Eddie? And just because I've been saying this for weeks and months, let's get to Hangman Page challenging Claudio for the Ring of Honor title. Let's start it off in this match.
That would be good. Like, to see... Now, Eddie's already had his shot at Claudio.
Yeah.
And he lost.
Yeah.
Now, I know Tony's probably going to want to run that one back because the match got such a good representation. But he lost. Ring of Honor has never been about repeat challenges. Challenges come along, they go for the title. If they lose, they go back to the back of the line, and we move on to the next guy.
Forward. Yeah, totally.
So I'm in total agreement with you there. It should be Page going after Claudio because one, banger, and two, Adam Page has got a lot of history in Ring of Honor. A lot of history with the Decade and everything else that went on in there. So that'll be great. Back to this match, on the other hand. So far, it's 1-1. Blackpool Combat Club won Anarchy in the arena. The Elite won the 6-man tag. I don't see Ishii losing. Gato is very, very, very specific as a booker. And Gato, just like Tony Khan, doesn't like his boys going down unnecessarily. Shota Umino is there to be beaten.
I mean this as a compliment when I say it, but I've always said to you that Ishii is kind of like a Japanese Jim Duggan. Right?
Yeah.
Not physically, not the way he wrestles necessarily, but the fact that he always gets over, he always puts in a heck of a performance and ends up on his back. 9 times out of 10. So, I think if this is going to blood and guts ultimately, which I think it might be, I think that is more of a BCC style match. So because of that, to kind of give them the upper hand going into it, I'm going the Elite.
Well, I'm picking the Elite because I think Shota Umino is there to take the pin.
Possibly, yeah.
Shota is still a young boy in New Japan. He's not won any titles. He's not won any major matches. For God's sake, he still carries Moxley's leather jacket with him everywhere he goes, even though he's already wearing his own leather jacket. It makes no sense.
It's kind of like Tom Hardy's denim shorts all over again.
Yeah, it is.
Tom Hardy?
It really is. Tom Lawler.
Yeah.
But I'm picking the Elite as well, and I think Tomohiro Ishii / Eddie Kingston is going to pin Shota Umino. Or
I will go
Shota Umino.
I will go for Hangman pinning Claudio. Okay. I'm distracted.
It's tantalizing.
It's what I want to see. I know I'm emotionally invested, and I get you. But yeah, so
it's tantalizing.
So we've only disagreed on one of these matches so far.
I know, and there's only 4 left.
Ooh.
Now these were the 4 matches that were confirmed a couple of weeks ago. So everyone's known about these for a while. These are big matches. First off, we are going with the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, which is not the main event, and it shouldn't be the main event this time, so I'm very glad it's not. MJF, can't believe I'm going to say this, defending against the ace of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, Tana's little video on Dynamite aside, which wasn't the best, because God bless him, he's doing his best to speak English, which tremendous amount of appreciation for, because he doesn't have to. They could quite literally just record those promos, then subtitle them. Right?
Yeah.
Just record it in Japanese and stick subtitles on it. But Tana wants to speak in English. Good on him. A lot of people said MJF's had his biggest challenge already in Danielson in the Iron Man match. No, he hasn't. He's about to have his biggest challenge. Hiroshi Tanahashi is the John Cena of Japan. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah, I mean, elements of HBK as well. The way I see him. But
okay,
stature-wise, yes. Yeah.
He was the guy, is basically what I'm trying to say. Is like, without Hiroshi Tanahashi, New Japan would have died 10 years ago. Like, it would have died a horrible death, and it'd be number 2 in Japan now, and Noah would be the top company. But thanks to Tanahashi, they stayed on top because of his impeccable work ethic, his incredible in-ring ability, and his genuine ability to connect with fans. I was watching Wrestle Kingdom with you for the first time about 8 years ago, Si. And it was Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Tetsuya Naito. I watched women beg for this man's sweat.
Yes.
I'm not exaggerating, people. They literally handed him towels. He wiped his armpits with the towels and gave it back to these women who were acting like they just got Michael Jackson's underwear. Right? I've never seen people react to a human being the way the Japanese fan base reacts to Hiroshi Tanahashi. For that reason alone, MJF is in for the night of his life. Because MJF usually can run matches quite well. He ain't running this one. There is no way in hell MJF is going to be the one planning out and leading this match. MJF's going to win because it's a title match. Just to spoil my prediction straight up, it is a title match. I do not believe Toad Tanahashi is going to become AEW World Heavyweight Champion. It's sad, but it's true. So you can tell I'm excited for this one.
It's going to be great. MJF hasn't wrestled nearly enough, but I think that's by design. And I think we're now seeing him forced into matches. I mean, you've got the tag match with Cole, you've got the match with Tanahashi, and then eventually, maybe at All In, it'll be a title match with Cole. And the fact that he's doing it, being forced into it, it just complements the character. And it keeps alive the kind of smoke and mirrors effect that every time MJF steps into that ring, a lot of people see a talker who maybe can't go because they don't see it regularly. And every time, he just blows you away. Because the guy is really, really good. I think these guys are going to match up really well. It kind of, from an in-ring standpoint for me, I'm seeing like an HBK against Kurt Angle. I'm talking that kind of level of chemistry. It's going to be great. But yeah, again, spoiler, MJF is not losing this one. No.
So, well, we're both in agreement there, and I don't think there's anybody who would argue with us on that one either. Right, moving on to our next title match, this time for the NJPW World Heavyweight Championship. It is the new champion, Ish Sanada, from these 5 guys. Really stupid name for a faction. Taking on Jungle Boy Jack Perry with Hook in his corner. And I think that's going to play into this. I think Hook's turning heel.
That would make a lot of sense.
I think Hook is turning heel. I think he is going to cost Jack Perry this match against Sanada because, yet again, people, it's a title match. So, sorry, there's no way in hell Sanada's losing the belt. It's just all about how he wins. And I think if Hook costs Jack the match, be it inadvertently or deliberately, Jungle Boy saves face, Sanada still looks good, and Hook gets his stuff in, shall we say. Yeah. So, not that bad.
I like how we've seen this way back in WCW, back when they had 2 titles with the NWA belt and the international belt. We've seen it in WWE when there was 2 branded titles. And it's a similar kind of thing in that Jungle Boy has been pushed. He got the title shot in the 4-way last month, and now he's getting another world title shot. So he's like on a consistent push. And I like that. And I think it could get fans behind him. But I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. Okay. I don't think there's no doubt that we're not going to see a title change here. I'm agreed on that. But I wonder if it could be somehow Jack Perry that turns on Hook.
Ooh. So, to spitball it, Jack loses the match. because Hook did something that cost him the match.
Yeah.
And then
Hook
Jack just explodes on Hook.
For want of a better phrase. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's probably...
Yeah.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Simon. God almighty. Working with children.
But there's definitely something going to be going down between those two in the future. I think by the time we get to All In, which we are attending in Wembley, it could very well be Jungle Boy against Hook, and that'll be a great match.
It would. Right, well, we're both in agreement there. Sonata is keeping his title.
Absolutely. And can I just say as well, Sonata should have won this world title 2 years ago when they gave it to Evil.
Yeah, before they redesigned the gorgeous, gorgeous New Japan heavyweight title into what is effectively the freaking butterfly belt from the Divas division, but gold and black.
It's like they designed a title belt on Cody's neck tattoo. It's like, what's going on there?
It's awful. It's absolutely awful, and I'm not surprised that Okada doesn't want to hold it.
No.
It's bloody awful. Right, now, we're moving on to what I am going to pull as a WWE and call the double main event.
It's a double main event.
It is. This is a double main event. Because first up, we have the rematch from the Tokyo Dome. A match that you and I were very lucky to watch live, Simon. Not in person, but we got to watch the show live.
We did.
Will Ospreay challenging for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship, that gorgeous red leather and gold, against the cleaner, Kenny Omega. Now, I'm excited for this match for two reasons. One, it's Will versus Kenny. How could I not get excited? But two, this will be New Japan Kenny Omega.
Yes.
This will be the cleaner. Because if AEW Kenny Omega shows up to wrestle Will Ospreay, heel Will Ospreay, little Essex dickhead Will Ospreay, he will get the shit beaten out of him, and will walk away with that belt quite easily. Now, I'm going to let you go first on this one, Si, because I got a whole theory.
I'm going to be quite honest about this one. I don't care who wins. It's going to be a 5-star match.
I got a whole theory tied into this.
It's going to be phenomenal. Like we saw that match at Wrestle Kingdom. It's still one of my, if not my favorite match of the year. Like I say, I don't really care who wins. We're going to get 25, 30 minutes of amazing in-ring action. If I had to pick a winner, in fact, you know what? Let's hear your theory first, and then I'll give you my
prediction. All right. Here we go down the rabbit hole, people. Right. Lots of stuff has been happening with Kenny Omega in the last 4 months, specifically with Don Callis. Now, little bit of tidbit information. Did you know Don Callis has been ending all of his tweets with the word bruv? Now, the only other person who ends all of his sentences with the word bruv is Will Ospreay. Literally ends everything with the word bruv. Do you remember me, Kenny? Bruv. I'm back for revenge, bruv. So on and so forth. Now, Don has abandoned Kenny Omega. Last night, to put cadence to my theory, when Will arrived at the arena, who should show up to offer his military-grade private security to Will Ospreay? But Don Callis. Don wants to destroy Kenny. Part one of destroying Kenny is getting that belt off him. Now, at first, I thought Takeshita may have a hand in this match, but he's busy. Don's not. Don Callis and Kenoshite Takeshita are joining United Empire. Because they already signed Aussie Open to AEW. Jeff Cobb already performs on a regular basis in AEW. Thank God the Great O'Khan can't get a visa.
Yeah, and let's keep it that way.
Yeah, let's keep it that way. Whoever's stopping the Great O'Khan from being able to wrestle in America, keep stopping the Great O'Khan from being able to wrestle in America. But back to my point. So I believe that Don Callis is going to very much cost Kenny Omega this title. I think Will is not going to have him beat. I think Will is going to have the best match with Kenny he's ever had, because this is a different Will Ospreay. Will no longer is doing the aerial assassin flippy boy routine. He's had too many injuries and he's put on too much size. This is going to be a very brutal, very vicious heel Will Ospreay against a very brutal, very vicious, cleaner Kenny Omega.
Let me ask you this. Just a quick question to interrupt you. Sorry, dude. Can you think of a bigger match that Will Ospreay has had on American soil?
Oh, no. No.
That's why he's going to win.
He's not on American soil.
North American soil.
It's in Canada, dude.
Still in North America, dude.
Well, it's the continent, I suppose, yeah. But no, I agree. Will is winning this match. One, because Gato's probably had enough of the US title only being defended every 2 months. And two, because Don Callis is going to help him win, just to screw over Kenny Omega. And then Don Callis is going to become united with Will in the United Empire. And we're going to go on from there, because I believe the Blackpool Combat Club Association is merely temporary. Don is using the Blackpool Combat Club to get at Kenny. When he doesn't need them to get at Kenny anymore, he'll just move on. So I am going...
Elite feud is over. I think the United Empire and the Elite is the next big feud.
Yes.
You know, it's got to say, normally a pay-per-view of this stature, having a screwy finish or someone costing someone the win in one of the two main events, unless it's Jon Stewart running down to ringside, don't even talk about that, is a no-no, isn't it? But this is one of those rare exceptions where you can have a great match for half an hour and a screwy finish, and it still be great. Kind of like Nakamura and Styles a few years ago. You know, the finish didn't take away from it, and that's what we're going to get, I think. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. Now, so we're both going with Will Ospreay?
Yeah.
So you're going with Will, and I'm going with Will via Don Callis. Now, to the real main event. To the final match and the last match of Forbidden Door, a match that I don't think any of us thought we'd ever get to see. And it's finally here. Last month, after Dominion, after Okada, Tanahashi, and whoever their partner is, had retained their six-man heavyweight championships against Claudio Castagnoli, Shota Umino, and Jon Moxley, Jon Moxley introduced a video. This video was Daniel Bryan walking across some mountains in the desert, which I thought was brilliant. Just because it's Bryan, why not? He's in the desert. And Bryan challenged the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. And last night, Okada responded in person, in the flesh, on Dynamite, and took off Wheeler Yuta's head.
He really did.
He busted him with that Rainmaker. This match is going to be something else. Like, Bryan is arguably the best of his generation. Okada is arguably the best of his generation. You put the Alpha and the Omega, sorry to steal the Jericho Kenny reference, but you have the Alpha and Omega of Western and Japanese professional wrestling. You put them in a ring together, and when Okada speaks perfect wrestling English, for those of you that don't know what I mean by wrestling English, it is tradition in professional wrestling, even in Japan, to call all of your spots in English, because professional wrestling started as a Western sport, and that's where the Japanese learned it from. So, the only question I've got for you, Si, how long are we going?
Normally, I don't like shows that go on for more than 3 or 4 hours. Attention span wise, I would sit and watch this for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's Okada shattered all the records in Japan. He is the man. Yeah. If there is a Japanese Mount Rushmore, there's 4 Okadas on it, right? That's no disrespect to anybody else.
No, there are.
And yet he's a rookie compared to Bryan Danielson. It's unfathomable, you know. The only dream match that I don't think we didn't get ever that I would put on this kind of level would be if Masawa had wrestled Bret Hart, something like that. It really is a dream match. We were all expecting Danielson to face Sabre. I wanted Danielson against Shingo. Never considered Okada, but now we've got it. I'll sit and watch this happily for an hour.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, if you are a wrestling fan, and if you're watching the stream and you're not a wrestling fan, hello, hope you're a wrestling fan by the end of it. But if you are a wrestling fan, to say this is tantalizing is the biggest understatement in the world. The crazy thing about this show, and especially these last two matches, is they're both match of the year candidates, and they haven't even happened yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Brian, oh my God, this is going to be so good. It's just going to be so good. Right, but we are fast running out of time, Si. So, on to predictions. Who you going with and why?
Sadly, Bryan Danielson is the first guy to always lay down for somebody he personally wants to elevate. If the guy has one weakness, he's too giving. You know, he's like the anti-Chris Jericho. He's not touching Okada. Okada is winning this match. We're probably going to get half a dozen false finishes, 3 rainmakers. Okada's winning.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you, mate.
Oh, finally. It's only the second time all night.
I'm going to disagree with you, mate, because Okada doesn't need the win. Bryan does. Bryan's whole point in this feud is he called out Okada. Just like Kenny called out Will and won.
True.
Just like Jericho called out Kenny and won.
Yep.
Just like Jericho called out Naito and won. This time, Bryan has called out Okada. Bryan needs this win because for him, a heel, Daniel Bryan, he's always been a heel, but for a heel, Bryan Danielson, to approach the greatest in the history of Japan, sorry, Antonio Inoki, he is, to literally knock on that door, to use a pun, and then not boot it open. Bryan's winning, mate. I think it's going to be the best match Okada's ever had. Honestly, I hold his time limit draw with Kenny, the Broadway, up against any match I have ever watched. It is that good. I think this is going to be better. And also, there is the third option, which neither of us have discussed. Time limit.
It is possible, but then where does that go?
That's a good point. Forbidden Door is kind of a one-off. Well, once a year.
There was talk of them doing one in like November, December in Japan last year, but then it never happened. I mean, I don't see it coming over here to Wembley unless Danielson were to go into the G1.
Well, Eddie's in the G1, isn't he? Which is very strange. But at the same time, very fitting.
I mean, again, it's like the Ospreay Omega match. A draw or a screwy finish wouldn't take away from the level, the caliber of in-ring action that we're going to see.
Well, yet again, I have a theory.
Go for it.
You see, Okada's the biggest babyface in Japan. He just is. He's over like Rover.
Yep.
Will Ospreay is currently the most over foreigner in New Japan.
Okay.
Will's just about to turn mega heel on Kenny Omega. And I mean mega heel. And he's going to take that United States Championship back to New Japan. And he's going to heel up all over the place with it and really piss off everybody. So who do you call to take the red leather and gold off Will? Who you need to keep out of the world title picture? Because otherwise he ain't. Sonata ain't beating him. So you have Okada lose. You have Will win. And then Okada goes on a path of redemption in New Japan to save the company from Will Ospreay.
Hopefully without the balloons this time.
Yes, we don't need broken Okada again. That was really weird.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense the more I think about it. But I'm sticking with Okada.
Okay. Well, this is fine because we have 2 matches we can disagree on, Simon. This is amazing. Usually we just agree. Usually we just agree on everything because we think the same. Right, ladies and gentlemen, but that was our show. That was our predictions for Forbidden Door 2023. I really hope you enjoy the show on Sunday. I know I'm going to. It's going to blow my brain out, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us. Everybody that watches us every week, I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, if you enjoy what we do here at the Legion, please subscribe to the channel and join the Legion. If you stayed with us till the end of the video, it's got to be worth leaving us a like. It really helps us out. It's free, and it's the only way that YouTube. Yeah, we really do. Yep. And it's the only way the algorithm knows we exist.
Just to add, hopefully at some point next week, we will be back with Money in the Bank predictions.
Yes,
because the big shows are coming thick and fast now.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. And one of our team will be live for Money in the Bank. And if I can get him to vlog for us this time, we shall hopefully have another travel vlog on the channel for Njpw, for Money in the Bank. And of course, as Simon has stated, we are off to Wembley in this August. We are off to Wembley for All In. And I will be vlogging the entire trip, even though it is just one day. So you'll be able to see everything from the show, everything we do, everything we eat. Whatever we do, it'll be there and it'll be great. And we will have a special guest with us for our Wembley trip. The newest member of the Legion, our dear freighted partner, Andy, who is still in work. Love you, brother. Sorry you couldn't be here today. But his son, Ashton, who is a massive wrestling fan, will be joining us for All In. And he will be giving his hot takes on certain matches throughout the show on our vlog. So I'm really looking forward to that. But that's all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Nick the Geek. He's been wrestling with your thoughts, Si. And we'll see you next week. If I can ever end the stream.
I'll just hold the pose.